Have you ever wondered how the Aztec Empire, one of the most powerful and sophisticated civilizations in the Americas, rose from its humble beginnings? Let's turn back the pages of history to the 12th century, when a small nomadic tribe known as the Mexica began an epic journey. Emerging from a mystical homeland called Aztlan, whose location remains a subject of debate among historians, the Mexica set their sights on the fertile Valley of Mexico. The valley was already home to several established city-states, each boasting its own unique culture, governance, and military prowess. In stark contrast, the Mexica were outsiders, wanderers with no land to call their own. Unlike their urbanized neighbors, they didn't have monumental architecture or complex political systems. They were newcomers in a land of old, proud city-states, and let's just say they weren't given the warmest of welcomes. But what the Mexica lacked in material wealth, they more than made up for with their indomitable spirit and unshakable resolve. They were not deterred by the challenging environment or the dismissive attitudes of their new neighbors. Instead, they were fueled by a prophecy, a divine vision that promised them a home where an eagle perched on a cactus, devouring a snake. As they navigated their way through the political maze of the valley, the Mexica demonstrated an uncanny knack for survival and adaptation. They served as mercenaries for more powerful groups, fought in regional conflicts, and slowly but surely began to carve out a place for themselves in the complex socio-political landscape of the valley. In the face of adversity, they showed resilience, tenacity, and an unyielding will to survive. They learned, they adapted, and they grew stronger, laying the foundation for what would eventually become a civilization revered and feared in equal measure. But the Mexica were not destined to remain a minor player in the region. They had grander ambitions. The turning point for the Mexica came when they formed an alliance with two other powerful city-states. But why did they do this? Let's rewind to the year around 1428. The Mexica, situated in the city of Tenochtitlan, were surrounded by potential threats and allies. Two of these were the city-states of Texcoco and Tlacopan. These three powers had a lot in common. They shared language, religion, and culture, but perhaps most importantly, they shared strategic interests. In the face of external threats, the Mexica, Texcoco, and Tlacopan saw the wisdom in unity. They made a pact, a mutual defense agreement, if you will. This was the birth of the Triple Alliance. The terms were clear. They would support each other in times of war, share the spoils of their conquests, and collaborate in matters of governance and law. But this wasn't just a simple pact of convenience. No, this alliance was a calculated move by the Mexica to solidify their position and expand their influence. You see, the Mexica were the military muscle of the alliance. Their warriors were fearsome, disciplined, and they had a knack for winning battles. The other two city-states, while no pushovers themselves, recognized the value in having the Mexica as allies rather than adversaries. In return, the Mexica gained a lot from their partners. Texcoco, renowned for its scholars and artists, contributed to the cultural and intellectual richness of the alliance. Tlacopan, though smaller, held a strategic location and was a vital link in the trade networks of the region. Over time, this alliance became more than just a pact between city-states. It morphed into a centralized political system with Tenochtitlan at its core. The Mexica became the dominant force, with the rulers of Texcoco and Tlacopan serving as advisors to the Mexica king. The Triple Alliance marked the birth of the Aztec Empire, setting the stage for a period of expansion and prosperity. The Mexica, once a small and marginal tribe, had now positioned themselves as the leaders of a powerful empire, ready to leave a lasting legacy in the annals of history. With the Triple Alliance in place, the Aztec Empire entered a golden age. But what made this period so special? Let's delve into the factors that shaped this era. One of the key aspects of the Aztec Empire's golden age was its military prowess. The Aztecs were skilled warriors with a well-organized and disciplined army. This military might enabled the Aztecs to expand their territories, bringing more resources and wealth into the empire. On the political front, the Aztecs established an efficient system of governance. The empire was divided into provinces, each with a governor who was responsible for collecting taxes and maintaining order. This hierarchical structure allowed the Aztecs to effectively manage their vast territories. The Aztec economy thrived during this period, largely due to their extensive trade networks. These trade routes stretched across Mesoamerica, enabling the Aztecs to exchange goods such as precious stones, feathers, cotton, and cacao with other civilizations. This trade not only brought material wealth, but also facilitated cultural exchange, contributing to the Aztecs' rich and diverse culture. Innovative agricultural practices were another hallmark of the Aztec Golden Age. The Aztecs developed a system of agriculture called chinampas, or floating gardens. These man-made islands, built on the lakes around their capital city, allowed the Aztecs to cultivate a variety of crops year-round, ensuring a stable food supply. Speaking of their capital, the construction of the grand city of Tenochtitlan was a monumental achievement. Located on an island in Lake Texcoco, Tenochtitlan was a marvel of engineering and architecture. Its towering temples, bustling marketplaces, and intricate canal system reflected the Aztecs' sophistication and ingenuity. The Aztec Empire was at its pinnacle, a beacon of power and sophistication. However, every empire has its sunset. The fall of the Aztec Empire was as dramatic as its rise, but what were the factors that led to its downfall? In the early 16th century, a new force arrived on Mexican shores that would ultimately spell the end for the Aztec Empire. This was none other than the Spanish conquistadors, led by the ambitious Hernán Cortés. Arriving in 1519, they were initially welcomed by the Aztec ruler, Moctezuma II, who perhaps believed these strange men to be gods. Yet, within 2 years, the Aztecs were engaged in a bitter conflict with the Spanish, their superior weaponry and ruthless tactics proving too much for the Aztec forces. But the Spanish were not the only threat the Aztecs had to contend with. Another silent killer was at work, one that the Aztecs had no defense against: disease. Smallpox, a disease brought over by the Europeans, swept through the empire, decimating the population. The Aztecs, having no immunity to this foreign disease, were helpless in the face of this biological onslaught. Yet even with the arrival of the Spanish and the onslaught of disease, the Aztecs might have been able to resist, had it not been for the internal strife and rebellion amongst the subjugated tribes. The Aztec Empire had made many enemies in its rise to power, and these subjugated tribes saw the arrival of the Spanish as an opportunity to throw off the Aztec yoke. They allied with the Spanish, providing them with valuable allies in their fight against the Aztecs. The confluence of these factors, the arrival of the Spanish, the spread of disease, and the internal rebellion, led to the swift and brutal fall of the Aztec Empire. By 1521, just 2 years after the arrival of the Spanish, the Aztec Empire, once a beacon of power and sophistication, was no more. Yet its legacy continues to endure in the cultural and historical fabric of Mexico.